Emily from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, January 19th. Okay, so we have the moon in Taurus energy, making us very aware of our physical body, of our physical circumstances, anchored and grounded into this here and now energy. The Taurus energy doesn't want us to think so far into the past that we get lost in romanticizing a situation and a circumstance that didn't even unfold the way that we want to replay it in our heads. And we also don't want to project ourselves too far into the future, overwhelming us with a to-do list, with the roles and the responsibilities that we have to boss up into. Instead, we're looking for the small little glimmers of happiness, of joy, of safety, security, stability in the present moment, in the here and now. So this is I'm going to say, very nice energy to be sitting in if we can tap into the positives. If we tap into the negatives, then we may find ourselves a little bit agitated, feeling a little bit stubborn, especially when it comes to contemplating all the changes that we know that we need to make. There is a resistance because Taurus energy is a fixed earth sign. There is a lot of resistance to the changes that we need to make, even if we've been praying for them. Even if we're the ones that decide that these changes need to take place, we procrastinate, we put it off, we make excuses because we would rather just kind of sit in what is old, tried, tested, true, comfortable, and familiar. So this is the last day of Capricorn season. Okay, so we know that when the sun is nearing the ending of any zodiac sign, and I shouldn't even just say the sun, any planet nearing the ending of a zodiac sign, reaching that 29th critical crisis degree, there's always an intensity. Everything gets jacked up, the volume gets turned all the way up because we're supposed to be learning that particular life lesson and wrapping up this particular chapter. If you need to go back, listen to what Capricorn season was all about, by all means, go ahead and do that. Just know that this is going to be a very heavy, very weighted, very funky next couple of days as we close the door on Capricorn season and we usher into Aquarius energy. Now, not only is it the last day of Capricorn season, this is the last day that Pluto will be in Capricorn energy as well. So we have the sun and Pluto at the 29th critical crisis degree of the Capricorn energy, both of them anticipating making a shift, moving into Aquarius energy together. Now, there's an astro forecast out there about what the sun and Pluto, what that's going to mean for us with those two moving into Aquarius energy together. Please go ahead. Please take a listen. If you haven't listened to the 2024 year ahead overview, I'm going to recommend you do that too. If you have all of the guides, all of your forecasts, please go ahead, reference back to that so that you understand why it is that you're feeling the way that you're feeling as we close the door on this Capricorn energy and move into Aquarius energy. It is going to shake things up, okay? It is going to feel heavy and weighted at this final critical crisis degree of the Capricorn energy. The funk is very real. The mean girls, Debbie Downer, Negative Nancy, they're coming out to play to try and put us in a state of paralysis so that we don't level up, we don't evolve, we don't kind of see the bigger, greater, grander picture that, of course, will be illuminated for us the minute that we dip our toe into this Aquarius energy. So it's a whole vibe. And if you're having a hard time, if there is a lot of struggle, if your faith is being tested, if you feel like you're just in a depressive state and you just don't feel like this is ever going to change, please go through all of the resources that I've already put out there to help you understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling and to reassure you that this too shall pass. Okay, so with that being said, there are 10 different aspects taking place here today. 6 of them are going to involve the moon. So, before we get into any moon aspects, we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money in the Sag energy, making a positive aspect with Uranus, the great awakener, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. This is a positive interaction, which means that we're having an aha moment, a profound insight on our wants, on our needs, on our passions, on our desires, especially where fulfilling certain emotional voids are concerned, and especially where relationship dynamics are concerned as well. This is going to kind of give us a jolt in that heart activation in order for us to realize that it is time to push the boundaries on our comfort zone. Even though the moon in Taurus isn't going to support it in our heart space, we know in our mental plane, we know that shit has to change, and it has to be heart-led. It means that there is a new awareness of what it is that we're currently not getting from life, where safety, security, stability, happiness, joy is concerned. And because we're having this profound revelation, if you will, this is going to put us on a path in order to figure out what it is that we can do in the present moment, in the here and now, in order to start kind of rebuilding the realm, the reality that at this particular point in time, we're not so happy with, we're not so content with. This is a good energy, but it is going to bring in a little bit of a restlessness, a little bit maybe of an anxious state, because we do really want change, but yet it doesn't feel like there are changes to be made in this present moment, in this here and now. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, ruler of communication in this Capricorn energy. And side note, this is the last day that Mercury will be in his post-retrograde shadow period as he reaches his optimal performance here on the 20th when the sun and Pluto move into Aquarius energy. So it's all very connected. It's all very profound. This is why I say to you, shit is going to get weird. We're going to gain a lot of clarity, a lot of information, a lot of details that may just blow our minds. Use discernment, please. Anywho, Mercury is going to trine beautiful interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is in this Taurus energy. This is earth on earth action. So we're logical, we're practical, but what we're doing is that Mercury, mental plane, and Jupiter, magnification on the mental plane, putting us in a situation to see the bigger picture, to see the big, bright ideas that we've been sitting on and percolating on, finally starting to make sense. Yes, we may be looking for a new mission, new quest, new purpose. Yes, we have some big thoughts, some big ideas, but we also have a very positive, very optimistic, not only perspective on what it is that we're going to, again, start pursuing here in a moment, but putting us in the proper narrative. Really optimistic, really confident. We are not biting off more than we can chew. We have a logical, practical plan, path, and strategy that we are anxiously awaiting to take action upon. The moon in Taurus is then going to make a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, who of course is in this Aries energy, helping us with this identity shift. This, I'm going to call it identity crisis, but really it's a better word to call it an identity rebranding. We've leveled up. We have a new sense of self. We're still kind of anchoring that new version of self in. This particular energy is illuminating for us where it is that we're actually feeling at peace with certain aspects of ourselves. It's no longer ourselves that are driving us nuts and kind of, pushing us and pulling us in all kinds of different directions. We're finally feeling a little bit grounded, a little bit anchored, a little bit at peace, a little bit at harmony with some of the struggles that we've just gone through, some of the growth that we've just been able to kind of push through, some of the healing work that we've been able to kind of really resolve. And so this is a positive energy for us to see ourselves in a better light, from a different set of eyes, from a different perspective that is illuminating our strengths, our qualities, our values. We are starting to see the worth. We are starting to see the value within ourselves. And it's been a very, very long time since we've had a positive perspective of who it is that we currently are as we shed the skin of who it is that we've had to be. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Saturn. Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, and discipline. He's in this Pisces energy, really helping us to kind of squash the lies, the delusions, the deceptions. We are rebuilding a new belief system. We are trying to build ourselves up in worth, in confidence, doing the healing work necessary and needed in order for us to evolve. The moon interacting with Saturn in this way, it is a welcomed, let's say, welcome step in the right direction. We don't want to think too far ahead again with the moon in Taurus. If we go too far ahead, we're going to put ourselves in a state of anxiety. But we do understand where it is that we're on the precipice, we're on the cusp of stepping forward into a new reality, into a new path, into a new direction, where we are pursuing new goals, visions, and dreams that are definitely inspired by our higher selves, by our soul self as well. So this is like, if this was a negative aspect, we would just be crushing under the weight of change. But this is just enough of a positive interaction where we're starting to kind of build ourselves up, hype ourselves up, knowing that, yeah, there is change around the corner. It's not really knocking on our door at this present moment. And so we are comfortable enough to think about the prospects without actually having to do what needs to be done at this present moment. Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, gets into the boxing ring, fights it out with Neptune. Neptune is in his place of power in Pisces energy. So first of all, a square doesn't feel good. It's going to create tension and conflict in order for us to see where a change is needed. Now, Neptune brings a fog, brings a confusion, brings a veil of, I'm going to say, deception as well. And what this is doing is kind of blinding us from our true wants, needs, desires, especially where relationships are concerned. There's going to be a seesaw, back and forth, push and pull in our relationship dynamics because of this influence. And what happens is first of all, we're kind of not sitting in reality with what it is that we want, need, and desire. We're living a little bit more in fantasy land than anything else. And of course, that's just setting us up for disappointment because we have expectations that aren't rooted in reality. Second to that, we're kind of conjuring up this vision and this dream that isn't going to happen. And when we kind of fantasize about the outcome that we wish we were currently living in, it clashes big time with reality. And so this is a hard time because we aren't really stable in our thoughts and our feelings. Again, we're in the very critical crisis degrees of wrapping up a very heavy chapter here. There is a void that we are feeling within us. Something's off. We don't know how to kind of fix it or heal it. And so what happens is we look outside of ourselves for something to blame. And because this is a strange type of energy that we're sitting in right now, we are likely going to cast the blame on some relationship dynamics or the lack of some growth, some materialistic possessions, if you will. What we have to kind of do at this point is give your head a shake. Bang your head off against a wall a little bit just to bring you back down to reality and get you into that physical body. The Sag energy that Venus is in is just biting off way more than we can chew, dreaming such a big dream that it's not even realistic, logical, or practical for us to even set that expectation for us to achieve. And so we could be just kind of creating a little bit of an emotional shit show for ourselves that we don't even need to be creating right now. But because the energy is chaotic and a little bit off, we're looking to kind of blame something. So if it's not relationships, if it's not, your job or your finances, it's something externally, because we're refusing at this point to take a look within ourselves of the voids that we've actually had a hand in creating. And of course, it's an inside job in order to fulfill those particular voids as well. So we just need to understand that the lines are very blurry with this Neptune influence. It is creating a fog, a delusion, a deception, if you will. And we have a tendency to kind of get lost in la la land, conjuring up situations that are not favorable, are not realistic. Now, the moon in Taurus is going to come up to, bump into, team up with Uranus, the Great Awakener, who is retrograde in this Taurus energy. This can kind of unfold in one of two ways and maybe a little bit of column A and column B. The first one, and this is the most favorable one, is that we have a profound aha moment, something that shakes us up, wakes us up, opens up our mind, open up our heart space to doing things in a different way in order to get a different result. This is very empowering. This is very exciting. It can definitely just, again, set us up for new inspirations, new motivations on what it is that we would like to build to, recognizing that it is going to require a certain amount of change that, again, at this present moment, we're not totally comfortable in kind of doing right now, but we're building ourselves up to having to make these changes in order to get a different result than the result that we've been getting doing the same old, same old. The other way that this could manifest is that it creates a little bit of a level of confusion, that it overwhelms us with anxiety, with restlessness, that we don't know what to do. We don't know if this situation is ever going to change. We don't know if we have what it takes in order to do what is necessary to make a change. And so instead of having this profound aha moment on really kind of taking a calculated risk on making some of the changes that would free us from some of the challenges, obstacles, and restrictions that we're currently very aware of in our here and now, instead of all of those wonderful things, we could actually just feel so overwhelmed, so pressurized that this situation, this circumstance is never going to change, that we lose hope, we lose faith, we lose all positive outlooks. So again, I'm hoping that we can all tap into the positive manifestation of this particular energy, but depending on where it is that you're at, you may actually be sitting in the funkiness of this energy. So the moon is then going to make a positive interaction with the North Node. So I guess what I'm saying is that regardless of whether the earlier energy manifests in a good way or in a bad way, this particular point, this aspect with the North Node in Aries, this is going to help us understand what it is that we have to do in moving forward, either to, feed off of that excitement, that inspiration, that motivation, those aha moments, and understand what it is that we could change, what it is that we could alter in order to get a different result, or out of the frustration, out of the confusion, out of the agitation of, if that's how it manifested for you, sitting in that confusion, suddenly there's going to be an ounce of clarity on where it is that we can make a small change, either within our heart space, within our head space, or in our physical realm, that would actually prove to us that we have the ability to take action, to make a move, even if it is a baby step, that of course is some sort of progress in moving forward. This is a certain level of growth, certain level of aha moments, a certain level of awareness on where there is an option available to us to make a change, to take a step in a different direction. The moon in Taurus is then going to make a positive interaction with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, currently in this Sag energy. Keep in mind, Venus rules over the Taurus energy that the moon is currently in. And so this is a positive interaction. This is great for us. It is going to help kind of simmer, if you will, some of the earlier confusion, the delusion between Venus getting into the boxing ring and fighting it out with Neptune and kind of putting us in that not so nice situation where we're kind of living in a delusional fantasy land and setting ourselves up for big disappointment due to the expectations that we have for a particular outcome. We're resolving that. And so the moon interacting with Venus in this way, first of all, a lot more grounded, a lot more anchored into the physical body, into the present moment. We're getting real and raw and vulnerable with how we're feeling, with what it is that we actually want, what we actually need, what we actually desire in our physical realms in order to feel good, to feel safe, to feel secure, and to have a little bit more happiness, joy, and pleasure. So at this particular aspect, I'm going to say that we're resolving a lot of the earlier funk in the day, and we are a lot more logical and practical on what it is that we have to do in order to kind of create this realm, this reality of all the things that we've identified we're currently lacking. The moon is then going to interact with Mercury in not the most comfortable way. So our heart and our head, not on the same page. Again, heart space being the moon in Taurus, head space Mercury being in Capricorn. Yes, this is our earth on earth, but there's a conflict. Emotionally speaking, the moon in this Taurus energy, again, just wants us to stay as present as possible in this present moment, in the here and now. Focus on all the good, focus on all the things that are working. Mercury, of course, in the Capricorn energy, has some long-term vision, some long-term goals that we want to kind of percolate on, but the moon in Taurus doesn't want to think that far ahead. So now we're having a disconnect between our heart and our head. We're trying very hard to stay in the attitude of gratitude here in this present moment, even though our mental plane is trying to push us to think about the possible situations, circumstances, steps, and scenarios that we should be potentially building ourselves up, preparing ourselves to actually take. Now, the last thing that we have going on here today is Uranus, the great awakener himself, retrograde in this Taurus energy, making a positive interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. We love this for us. First of all, this is a sudden shift in our mood, in our attitude, in our perspective, in our plans. We are going to really understand, because again, the North Node in Aries is our soul path. It's the path that we need to get on to reach our soul's next mission, our soul's potential, if you will. Uranus, the great awakener, being retrograde in this Taurus energy, is supposed to be highlighting for us where it is that we're the problem, we're the block, where it is that we want change, but yet we're not willing to do anything to make that change. It's trying to highlight for us where it is that we're so fearful about detaching from the realm, the reality, the identity that we've already created, that we can't even get up and answer the door when opportunity knocks. And so this positive interaction is, first of all, jolting us out of that holding pattern that we've been in, that fear-based programming that we've been in, and really opening up our mind space to where it is that a big picture vision, an aha moment, the puzzle pieces are just raining down upon us right now. And all we have to do is flip them over and connect them in order to understand the bigger, broader picture of the path, of the direction that we need to be moving in. So this will likely bring a little bit of, I'm going to say, well, it's probably going to manifest as anxiety, because people have yet to realize that anxiety is just a state of unfocused energy. If you're feeling restless, if you're feeling anxious, give yourself something to do. Give the energy a focus. What I would love to say is that this is going to bring in a level of excitement, of inspiration, of motivation, of anticipation in all the best ways. But because people don't know how to actually handle their energy, this is likely going to manifest for most people as anxiety. We're anxiously awaiting change. We're anxiously awaiting a move forward. We are anxiously awaiting to be able to actually take action upon the things that are going to make a major difference in freeing us from this particular construct, from this situation, from this circumstance.